It's it's a particularly interesting segue when you were just mentioning how the or Annie's just mentioning how these chickens go off to market and their bodies can no longer, their frames can no longer support their bodies, and these animals are bred for a purpose. And pigs are the same. They're bred to get really big really fast, and these health issues that we've been dealing with, Esther, um, are because of that, because they're seen as products, right? They're just a product, and so yeah. Sorry, it hit particularly hard because I see her behind me, so I'm looking at her, seeing the video and hearing the talk. I'll get it together. Just give me a minute. But it's hard with pigs. I mean, like we say, they do a really good job of keeping it hidden from everybody. People don't really know where their food comes from, and they definitely don't know the emotional lives and the complexity of these animals' personalities, and how uniquely individual they are, when they're quite literally, just a number, in a system, right? So we talk about things like this. Well, this, hey, we're giving them this extra few feet, you know what I mean? And that's going to be great for all of these pigs. And you know what I mean? And it's taking into account one tiny aspect of pigs' lives. It doesn't take, we've got 50 acres here on the sanctuary, and I can tell you that those pigs move a hell of a lot more than a few feet a day. Like, when they've got the opportunity, they put miles on. They start the day at the barn, they take themselves for a walk, they maybe spend a little while in a bog, and then they take themselves to the woods and they're digging in the woods, and then they come back dead on time when dinner's coming out. I tell you, you can set your watch by a pig. They know when breakfast is ready, they know when dinner's coming. There's a whole lot going on in their heads, and to think of them ever being thought to be okay to spend their lives in a gestation crate is horrifying. When you see what they want to do when they're given the opportunity to be who they want to be. That anytime I hear talk of these measures happening, and it's not just Prop 12 in the States, these kinds of laws are, thankfully, like you said, change is change, and it's great. And you hear these laws and changes coming in all over the world, but they seem like such tiny steps compared to what somebody who's in my position, that's seeing these animals from a completely different perspective and being able to see them in all their glory, being themselves and being who they want to be. To think of them in any other circumstances is absolutely devastating, and finding the right way to communicate that has been kind of our life's work over here at Happily Ever Esther. And how do we make people want to ask these questions? How do we make people want to know where their food comes? You know what I mean? Rather than, myself included, before I fell in love with a pig, I did this when one of those trucks went by on the highway. I didn't want to know. I was happy not knowing. I needed a reason to want to know, and Esther gave us that reason.